What's going on, guys? Josh, Boot Nerds, episode 5. I'm here with JayMike. How's it going?
Well, it's good, guys. All good, you?
Pretty good. Cold, snowy. It's the middle of winter. Can't wait for it to be over. But yeah, otherwise great.
Sounds good. So what do we have today?
We have a few things today. We're going to answer more of your questions. And as always, if you have any questions that you'd like us to answer in the next podcast episode, leave it down below in the comments right off the bat. And also, guys, we didn't ask in any of the previous episodes, but if you guys could leave a like on the video, that helps us out a lot in terms of getting the word out of quite possibly the greatest podcast ever created.
You said it.
So, leave a like, leave your questions down below. And we're also going to talk about what we've experienced as the worst boots that we've ever worn.
Which
I think is a pretty interesting topic.
Yeah, it's a bit controversial actually. Also, there will be some maybe some feelings hurt, I feel, but we're gonna dive into that later. But let me just, for you guys listening on Apple Podcast and Spotify, you can't see this, but Josh is wearing a pretty fresh shirt. And
fresh.
I just wanted to bring up the new Jordan PSG collection in white, which is quite fabulous. Obviously, guys, if you're feeling the Jordan collection, you can go down and click down in the link in the description. It's called because we have everything at Unisport. So if you fancy it, you gotta hurry, go pick it up at Unisport. But talk to me about the Jordan collection.
I ended up getting most of the previous ones. Like it was all black. The last stuff. I've worn this hoodie more than any other hoodie that I think I've ever owned in my life. Just because I really think it's cool. I've always been a big fan of Jordan brand stuff in general. So the tie into football I thought was really cool. While I'm not a huge PSG fan in general, it doesn't even matter. I think it's really cool. The sneakers have been great. The white hoodie I need. It's basically the reverse of this one. Totally need it.
Very cool.
I still got to get the Jordan 1s.
Yeah.
I see you guys still have the Jordan
stock. 1s. Really, really cool. Really cool. I appreciate that. I think the white is a little bit more, should we say, it's a bit more relevant. It's a bit cleaner. It's a bit more fresh than the black. The black was cool, but it was, I feel, more toned down. So this new white collection is pretty wicked. But do you think we're going to see more PSG Jordan stuff in the future?
I hope so. I'm a fan of it. I'd like to see it with other teams. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, with other Nike teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the PSG this season, Barcelona next season, whatever comes after that, Inter Milan maybe.
That'd be cool. You know what? With the kit stuff, I think it's gotten to a point where we've seen so much now. It's like, how many times can you do the PSG kit? How many times can you do the Barca kit? This is like something that's actually like cool and different and never been done before, which we don't see a lot of in the kit industry.
We just need Jordan to go back to the Cameroon Puma roots where they had the no sleeves uniforms. Remember those?
Those were interesting. Very interesting. Yeah,
but with I think Jordan it's a cool thing, and it's something that has had the potential to come into football for a while. I hope we see more boots. That's really the thing that does it for me. The kits are cool, but now we've kind of seen it. So if we can really have some sort of like we saw with the Neymar Hypervenoms back in the day, have some sort of a proper Jordan Nike boot mix up. That would be, so it's not just a vapor with a Jordan logo on it, but like an actual Jordan sneaker inspired boot. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I was a fan of that concept. It's cool. Always cool when they tie in kind of like iconic sneakers onto a football boot. I like even the Air Max collection. I immediately thought of that.
Air Max collection was super cool. Yeah, I agree. Which was your favorite out of those?
Probably the Magistas, the 97s.
Yeah,
I like 97s. I really like Air Max 97s in general.
I'm not a fan of those. I really like the Chempos.
Yeah?
Yeah, I thought they were really cool.
One.
Yeah,
they were cool.
But should we, before we get too far into the podcast, should we jump off to the Q&A section?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Let me take the first question then from Robert Gullett. What are your guys' thoughts on the future of Under Armour? And it sounds like, when I read the question, I felt a bit like, are they dying? Are they in trouble? Obviously, they're not really competing with Nike, Adidas, and Puma. But I mean, they've done some good stuff over the years. I know right now they had the zipper gate with the spotlight. Now they've removed the zipper. But they're not bad boots. They're just, for me, they don't really have the edge over some of the other brands. Magnetico's nice, but it just rips like that. I mean, I've stopped wearing the Magneticos because they just, they just fall to pieces whenever I use them.
I haven't had a pair rip on me, but I haven't worn them beyond like maybe 15 hours of play. So that's going to vary from person to person. Either way, I think Under Armour, their problem is they're too inconsistent with what they put out. Mm-hmm. They need to go on a bit of a hot streak with putting out products that are consistently decent and I think decent looking as well. A lot of people I see seem to have the opinion that the Under Armour logo is ugly on footwear, which I don't personally agree with. I think Under Armour's had, I think the Magnetico, as an example, is a pretty good looking boot.
It is.
There's nothing about it that I think is horribly ugly, like some people really seem to think. But again, Under Armour, they're too inconsistent. They'll come out with a really good design, a really solid boot, and then they'll come out with something that's just brutal and makes you question everything about the company.
But is it like I've been thinking about that? Obviously it started out as a base layer company. Is it? Do we see that they might not have the designers and the should we say design vision to compete with the big boys yet? Because I feel sometimes some of the designs have just been plain weird. It looks like something out of a American football commercial when we see the boot designs. Is it too, and don't get me wrong here, but is it too American in the sense that they think more American football, that sort of direction for their footwear?
I think it hurt them that they built their reputation around American football and people automatically just make that association. I think what you can credit Under Armour on and why we've had weird designs is that they really try to do their own thing.
Sure.
They have not gone and tried to copy anyone else's ideas or concepts. The fact they haven't done a knitted boot is still very surprising to me. I think that has to be their next move because that's really where the industry is going. But
absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's very hard to break into the football boot market when it's going to be next to impossible for them to build themselves any kind of a solid reputation.
And they tried. I mean, sponsoring Memphis Depay and having Tottenham Hotspur. They really tried spending a lot of money on some big assets, but it just didn't really pay off. And I feel like it's kind of faded out a little bit right now. You don't hear that much from them. What's going to be their next move? It's going to be fun to see what they do in the future because something has to happen for me.
They're a brand right now where people who watch channels like mine or they watch the Unisport channel and when they had the Clutch Fit line, it's like, okay, this is this sleeper boot that amongst the enthusiast community, they know, hey, this is a really good boot that nobody really pays attention to.
Yes.
But when you think about walking into a football boot store and having the whole wall laid out of all the brands, how many people are running up to the Under Armour boots and picking them off the shelf?
Probably no one. And
exactly.
And do they still have the sleeper boot with the Magnetico?
They have a unique product in the Magnetico,
it's
but
a
definitely
unique product,
not.
But would you? Okay, let's put it like this: would you go and pick the Magnetico over something similar when you go to a match?
Probably not.
No, and that's the problem.
Not.
Like they don't have something that stands out compared to all the other guys, and that's just. They had that with the Clutch Fit. They don't with the Magnetico, and obviously the Spotlight. The less that's said, the better.
It's one guy ruined the whole thing.
Yeah, but this whole thing you talked about knit kind of leads me into the next question here. What do you think will be the next big trend since we have had knitted uppers, collars, and laceless football boots? And it's an interesting question. I kind of thought we've done the obvious things that we've seen from other sports. So maybe football has to be the driving force behind the new innovation. What do you think here?
In terms of like a new material, anything new that would catch on and be revolutionary, if you want to call it that, I think is something that we've not seen before. So there's that. Another fascination with a lot of people, and I think something that's easy to build hype around, is new ways of lacing up boots, whether that's laceless or some kind of some way of tightening the upper that doesn't utilize a standard shoelace. People seem to really get intrigued on.
Yep.
But really what I think is going to be the next big thing is something along the lines of a product that you can physically just mold to your foot right out of the box. That's what I think. I don't know how they would do that, but that's what I think it's going to be.
Do you remember the shin pads? I think it was Nike who made them back in the day, that you could actually put in the oven and then have them there for 10 minutes at 200 degrees centigrade. And then, then you could put them on and they would actually take the shape of your shin.
I had a pair.
You had a pair?
I had a pair.
It was Nike, right?
Yeah, it was like right around, it was like T90 Laser 1 time.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I wonder if you could do something, maybe if they had some sort of foam on the inside that could take the shape of you. I don't really know if it would make that much sense to do it that way, but it's definitely an interesting thought.
It's something I've thought about a lot, and the big problem that I see with that is, well, there's a couple problems. The first thing is that people buy their boots too big in the first place. So if you have a boot that's too big and you're trying to mold it to your small foot, right away there's a problem. Second thing is you actually have to have somebody physically molding the boot to your foot, which means that if you're putting it in an oven, there's the possibility of cooking the boots and completely destroying them. And then I have to imagine a big company taking a chance on that to sell thousands of these things and hope that people do it right. That's a huge risk. Just to talk about baking stuff.
Don't do it.
Hockey skates. No, but hockey skates. I don't know how much you know about hockey skates. But
absolutely
like when you buy
nothing.
hockey skates, it's totally like you go to a hockey store and you pick out the skates, you figure out what size or whatever you need. And when you kind of got a basic idea of like, this is the skate I'm kind of interested in, they will actually put it in a skate oven. It's just a regular oven. There's really nothing special about it. They heat them up for 10, 20 minutes, whatever the specification is on the box for the skates, and they put them on your feet. And a hockey skate is obviously hard composite materials now. It's stiff as a rock. But when you heat it up, it completely changes shape and basically molds to your foot more or less instantly. A football boot is much thinner, much lighter. There's really not a whole lot of necessary molding.
And it has to be more adaptive, right? That's the problem. So you want it to move instead of just your foot being stuck inside of it, like I imagine it would be in a hockey skate. You want it to be moving somewhat with your foot.
Yeah. No, you don't want a hockey skate. Like part of what you pay for with a really expensive hockey skate is for it to be as stiff as possible.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Which is the opposite of football boots. So
yeah, exactly. Now, what I thought is, what if we get some sort of adaptive system, kind of along the same lines that you mentioned, some sort of adaptive system where the boot will actively, follow the should we say the swelling of your foot and follow the need for lockdown and also loosening up whenever you need it. So going along the lines of what Nike are doing with the basketball shoe they did with the automatic lacing, I think we might just see, Puma have kind of gotten into it a little bit with the net fit where you can customize your lacing. Maybe the next step could be to actually have an adaptive fit that adapts as you play. Some sort of intelligent system that will, it sounds super futuristic, I know, but, something that can actively go in and help you depending on what you're doing in the game. Maybe it's a bit of utopia now that I say it, but I could see going in that direction at least.
Yeah, I almost feel like you, to a certain extent, described the clutch fit upper that Under Armour was doing, where that's a boot where you could put it on and as you tied the laces, you could feel it kind of stretching around your foot.
Yes.
Sort of. To have that actively doing it while you're playing, that's like, I think we need flying cars first, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, but that's also the reason why the clutch fit was so good, because you got such a personal fit without it being ever too tight, and you felt like it moved somewhat with the foot. And expanding on that could be really interesting to see what you could do. So you got the stronger lockdown only when you need it, because some people think it's a little bit too uncomfortable when you get too much lockdown. It would be an interesting thought, but let's close it there. I mean, we're not the innovators.
Yeah.
Which is,
at the end of the day, I think anything revolutionary from here, while I don't deny that it couldn't be good, I think it's just overcomplicating.
Yeah.
Football boots,
yes.
Basically.
Yes, I agree.
All right. I have a question, Jay, because I'm actually prepared this week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your mic works and you're prepared. What is going into?
I know. It's weird, right? So this question is from Ali Al-Lawati. And he asks, can you please talk about Josh's hamstring injury, the rehab tips, how to avoid, etc.? I think many people will benefit from this as hamstring strains are common.
Yeah, and just to follow up on that question, if you've seen the video, you will recognize the snapping sound of your hamstring going.
Okay, that's a lot of people think that was my hamstring. It wasn't a hamstring.
Okay,
there's no physical snapping sound.
Okay,
I actually added a Call of Duty hit marker sound.
Really?
In the moment it happened, yeah.
Oh,
so
you fooled me.
That was a joke there. A lot of people didn't get that, including yourself. But that's what it felt like. It felt like a big snapping sound. But
okay, interesting.
No, but hamstring's doing good. That was a while ago now. It's almost like 6, 7, 8 months at this point. I'm good, totally fine. In terms of, I told the story a little bit of how it happened. Basically, I was squatting at the gym the day before, really, really sore. And then the next day I decided that it would be a good idea to try and sprint 50
Fantastic
times
idea.
in an hour, right? So the injury itself was totally my fault. Totally my fault. So that's one piece of advice in terms of avoiding hamstring injuries is make sure that you are fully recovered from any kind of heavy lifting workouts before trying to do strenuous activity. But in general, in terms of prevention of hamstring injury, warming up and stretching. I've never been a warm-up guy. I've never been a stretching guy. But since this injury, it's kind of something that I feel the need to do. And it legitimately does help you out long-term, and it will keep you safer. I don't know what your routine is like for that, Jay.
I always stretch, especially now that I'm getting older. I used to never stretch, and I think it's hurt my flexibility a lot. I can really feel my legs being stiff now. Even if I stretch. So I always stretch before and after a workout. That's our training. I always have to do that. And I use all these gels and it's getting to a point where I thought I'd never be at 22. I thought, I'm going to be fine. I don't need stretching. I can just run and run and run. Well, now I'm 30. I can't do that stuff anymore. So And that would be my advice. I've never had a hamstring injury myself, obviously, because I don't know that it actually doesn't make a physical snapping sound. But I've never really been hardcore injured, so I think I've been lucky. But stretching definitely feels like it's helping me these days now that I am getting older. So if you want to avoid making the same mistake as I did, start stretching even though you're young. It can only help you.
Yeah,
look at Ryan Giggs.
It's a consistency thing. It's really a consistency thing. Like it's not enough to just stretch once a week. You have to kind of make a routine of it. And the more you do it, the easier it'll be. But the long-term flexibility will definitely help in terms of injury prevention.
Absolutely. Look at Ryan Giggs. He was playing up until he was late 30s. And he was doing yoga. He was stretching out a lot. And I think it just helped people get more out of their bodies than if they don't stretch, because the muscles can actually perform better. I'm no physiologist, but it's just pure logic that if you stretch, your muscles are ready. It's going to be easier for you to perform. So I would always do that.
Yeah. Oh, and if you're wondering about the rehab, basically what happens is you limp around for about 3 weeks. Eventually it stops hurting so you can kind of walk slightly normal, but the hamstring's really, really tight. So all the rehab is basically just somebody yanking on your leg in directions it's not supposed to go until you get the flexibility back. And then just light strength training from there until it feels more or less normal again. So about 4, 5, 6 weeks of that. Everyone's going to be a little bit different. But yeah, the rehab's not fun.
I can only imagine.
Funny story about the hamstring thing. So I did that and then basically started recovering from it. And I was about 90% there. And then I came to visit you guys in Denmark.
Uh-huh.
and I had pre-agreed like 2 weeks earlier to come and train with you guys. So the first test of my hamstring was at the training session with your team.
Oh.
Which ended up being a full-on running practice.
Oh, yeah.
I guess you guys were in trouble from the match before. So it was great. So I had been up at that point for nearly 48 hours straight. And I show up to JayMike's practice and we're running for 2 hours. It was great.
It was beautiful. You did pretty well, though. You did pretty well. But the guys were like, who is this guy? He keeps on running and running and running. And that was apparently with an almost healed hamstring. And yeah, that was impressive. I was pretty impressed with that. But so yeah, we probably screwed you over a little bit there.
No,
so.
We're good. I'm good. No problem so far.
That sounds good.
All right.
But moving on to the next question here from Cursed Chicken. I need a new pair of boots and have my eyes on X18.1s, but my budget is off that mic by $40. What should I do? Should I settle for the 18.2 or spend that extra $40? What would the best thing to do in such a situation for other brands be as well? Really quick, go for the X18.1. It's a really, really good boot. I reckon it's better than the 18 Plus, and also a whole lot better than the 18.2. So yes, I mean, even if it was $80, I would pay that on top of the 18.2 price. Definitely.
I agree. This is a question that I get a lot where people ask, is it worth it to buy the first Takedown model when it's like $100 less expensive?
Uh-huh.
And it does depend on the model. If you look at like the Mercurial line, Vapor 12 Pro, you could make an argument it's just as good as the Elite for less than half the price.
Yeah, if you
But when you're talking about Adidas, when you're talking about Adidas with the 0.2 models, I think there's a significant jump to go from 0.2 to 0.1.
I agree, yeah. And especially if you can get it for just, go to 0.1 for $40 more, it's a no-brainer for me. Absolute no-brainer. I mean, the 0.2 is all right, but I'd rather have the 0.1s and spend a little extra. Also because you're going to be more happy with your boots for a longer period of time. Imagine you get the 18.2s and you figure out, okay, damn it, I should have spent those extra $40. Then you will have spent a lot of your budget, and it's going to take you longer before you can actually get new boots that are as good as you want them to be.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Why not go look for good deals, good offers? You don't necessarily need to get the latest colorway if you don't have the biggest budget out there. Just go get an older one, and you still get the same performance in the boots.
Yeah, no, the regret angle is good. I think if you buy a Takedown model when you probably could have afforded the high-end one, you'll regret it. If you buy the high-end one, you're never going to think, I should have got the Takedown. Oh, that would have been so much better. You're never going to think that.
But it's like, it's a little bit like peeing your pants when it's cold outside. It's nice and warm at first, but, then you realize you've just peed your pants. And also that warmth is going to go away and you're going to get really, really cold. Not that I've ever tried it. I've only heard stories, of course. But
so I was gonna say, me neither. I can't relate to this.
You must know that you're in Canada. But I would definitely say, if you can get, for instance, as with Nike, the Jumbo Legend Pros, the Mercurial Pros are very, very good. The other Pro models, the Phantom Pros, are all right for the money. But there I would even go for the Elites if I could. An older colorway of the Elite. But Puma, I would, the top high-end model is so cheap, both for the Future and the One, that I'd probably just go for that. Because they're honestly so much better than the Takedowns.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And still, Mizuno also do pretty dope takedowns in the, should we say, €150 price range. They actually do boots that I feel are better than Adidas's, similar ditto in that price range. But that's just me. But I also love Mizuno, so.
Okay. We'll end it there. I got a great question here. From Akuma RR. Which line of boot do you think Adidas/Nike will kill off next? I like that. This is a good question.
That's a very interesting question. I reckon that Nike might actually kill off the Phantom Visions next. Simply based on the fact that they're not going to kill the Mercurial, they're not going to kill the Tiempos, right? The Phantom Venom has just been launched, so it probably makes the most sense to kill the Vision next.
I agree. I think Mercurial is for sure safe. Tiempo, I don't think is 100% safe, but I think they value the name too much.
Yeah, I agree.
Where I think what they've shown now with the Phantom Vision and the Phantom Venom is that those are going to be their two kind of experimental lines. So, I think from a marketing perspective, there's value to Nike coming out with new names.
Oh, I totally
I agree.
But it would be like them dropping the Phantom Vision now would be a bit like the Magista line. You know, we got it. It was cool. The first model was relatively good. There was hype around it. Then it kind of died down with Magista 2. But still, people were kind of sad when they dropped it because it was still relatively new. It was like Adidas with the Nitro chart. It felt like unreleased or should we say, what's the English word here? I'm struggling. It
came and went really quickly.
Yeah. There was a lot of potential that was untapped there. But for Adi, I honestly see the Nemesis line going next.
Yeah, I think that's the obvious choice.
Because Copa was just revamped and did really well. X is doing extremely well, and they're not going to kill off Predator again this quickly.
Can you imagine? That'd be amazing.
Adi, if you're watching this, any of you guys, don't do it. That would be a big, big screw up.
Yeah, Nemesis definitely not safe.
Nah, sure. I would say, they could drop it for the next model. I don't know, but it has to really, it has to deliver now for it to be safe. Because the other lines are doing pretty well, I'd say. But I don't know if they even plan on dropping any.
Yeah, who knows?
I guess
I got another really controversial question here.
I like controversial
questions. From Hiram Wallace. That's how I think you say that. If you were a pro footballer and you could pick a company to be endorsed by, what company would you pick?
Ooh, I've had that question a lot, actually. And it's difficult because right now, I would probably go for the solution that is, I am not endorsed by anyone. Because if I'm a pro footballer, I'm making solid money. I would probably, at least in the beginning, until someone threw a really big offer at me, I would probably want to still wear whatever I wanted. With that said, I would be happy taking boots from either Nike, Adi, Puma, or Mizuno.
It's a very cop-out answer, Jay.
What would you say?
I'm also going to cop out. My answer would be, you had a really nice, like, politically correct answer where it's like, oh yeah, I like all the brands. It's nice. I would just be like, who's paying me the most money? That's what I'm wearing. If Under Armour wanted to pay me $10 million a year to wear the zipper boot, I'm wearing a zipper boot. I really think, like, I'm so of the opinion, as much as it kind of sucks to say, like what Neymar did going to PSG, and I'm not say that was the wrong decision or not, but I don't blame the guy for going and making that much money.
No,
that's, as a professional athlete, I think that's what you have to do. You have a 10-year span to make as much money as possible. 15 years if you're a freak of nature. Make as much money as you possibly can. And I think what we've seen with the modern football boot industry especially is, even with Depay, he never actually had to wear those zipper boots. He had his own custom variation. It doesn't matter, right?
And that's what I would arrive at. If someone came and chucked $10 million at me, I would probably say, yeah, I'll take it, but I want this and this and this done to my boots. Or I would simply just take the money.
Yeah. If I was a pro athlete, that's it. Whoever was going to pay me the most amount of money to endorse their product, that's probably what I would end up wearing.
Probably, yeah.
And I would say 99% of pros are of the same mindset.
But then again, if you had Nike and Adi and Puma paying you $10 million, all of them, it was non-negotiable. Then what would you do? I would then
I
tell
lean
them,
towards Nike.
I would
Towards Nike.
I would tell them, look, you give me $10 million and I get to make something, crazy. I get a signature colorway, or I get to make my own line or whatever. And they would tell me to go do one. But
yeah. I think Nike does the best job of that kind of stuff, if that's what you're into.
Probably, yeah. Oh, you got to give it to Puma, City Pack. I mean, giving athletes like a base. I didn't get 10 million though. Puma, what in the world is up here? All right,
wait, you are already a sponsored athlete. You already got endorsement deals. What are we talking about?
Yeah. All right. Should we grab another question here?
Yeah, go for it. You got one?
So T-Bone T, what boots have the cleanest and nicest feeling strike? And it would probably be a Nike boot, because that's what I thought about. I would say the Phantom Venoms or the Copa 19 Pluses. For me, that clean, dampened striking surface it's sweet. But also with the fins and, the flat surface you get on the Venom, that's really good. But, I know you probably, you have such a sweet ping that you probably have a valid opinion too.
Venom is solid.
Yeah.
I've always felt that when you have a little bit more grip on the upper, you can get a hold of the ball maybe a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. So Venom right off the bat, because of the extra grip, makes that difference. There's something about how a Mercurial feels when you hit a ball that I think is maybe not so much with the Flyknit variations, but going back to like Vapor 11, Vapor 10, mm-hmm. Those always felt really special. From Adidas right now, Copa 19 Plus is pretty unique because there is legitimately not much across the top of your foot other than that super thin leather, which does feel quite good. Yeah, it's not a power boot era anymore. I don't think there's too much that separates a lot of boots in regards to just the feel you get when striking the ball.
I agree with you on the Vapor though, that it gives you this almost like bone to ball sensation where it's just your foot and the ball. It's a very pingy sensation to strike the ball, and that's funny. You feel like when you hit it right, it's just a right missile just flying off your foot.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, the most unique, maybe not the best, but certainly the most unique striking experience. Man, we're talking about Under Armour a lot, but the Magnetico.
Oh yeah.
Like if you've ever kicked the ball completely barefoot, that's what it's like.
That's what it's like, yeah. I'm not necessarily a fan of that. I like a little bit of padding, but if, some people prefer that, and you got to respect it. It's very unique. I gotta give you that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but unfortunately, there's not a lot of great answers to that question.
No. I think we gave a pretty good answer to that question.
Yeah.
Do you have more?
I do. I have a great one here.
Hit me.
The profile picture is Thanos, which right off the bat, great choice. Simon Kai asks, what do you think is probably the dumbest name for a boot ever?
I love this name ever. Ooh, there must be.
I think, honestly, I thought about this because I picked the question beforehand, so I've thought about it for about 5 minutes, and it came to me. I'm like, I think we might be in a golden era of dumb football boot names.
Yeah, I mean, all the hyper, super,
funny how you say super. When Nike first came out with Superfly 1, did you think Superfly was a dumb name?
No, I thought it was a wicked name.
Really?
Wicked. Everything that has but that's the thing. Hyper and super, it's kind of lame, but it's also really cool. It's like putting 3,000 after whatever you have. You just know it's going to be it's like the washing machine you saw in the ads when you were a kid. It's called something 2000 and you just know it's the shit. It's the same with super. When you put super in front of something, it's just awesome, right?
I don't know. I just because I was a fan of Mercurial Vapors, and Mercurial Vapor I think sounds really cool. But then when they said, "Oh, it's a Mercurial Superfly," I'm like, that sounds like something my like weird uncle would say, thinking he sounded cool.
But when something is fly, it's good when it's fly, but when it's super, oh man, I the 1-1 is ridiculous.
Yeah.
who signed that off and thought, oh yeah, that'll work nicely.
That's
Come
a great
on,
one.
guys.
That's a great one. The Puma 1-1. Yeah, that's the first thing that I thought of was the Puma 1-1.
I think the whole, and I'm picking on Puma a little here. The whole velocity concept they had with the V1 point something, not really my cup of tea. What else do we have?
I think V construct with all the K's was a little unique.
That was pretty cool, yeah. What else what stupid boot names. I'm thinking really hard here. Looking at my boot rack.
There's not as many as you'd think there are. But yeah, Puma 1 and Superfly are the two that pop
I think
in my head
Superfly is fantastic.
Really? See, I
also,
never liked it.
you got to say, the Phantom Venom is not a bad name. It's just lazy. It's not like, come on.
Yeah, the two Phantom thing, double Phantom, little weird.
I also feel like the A's and the X names that Adi gave us, it was, I understand why they did it, but, A's never really spoke to me. X, I understand, but it doesn't evoke any feelings inside of me.
Yeah, but it's easy to spell.
And then there was the...
Hey, I used to work in a soccer store, and the thing that I always thought was really funny is when people... Oh, it's great. It's, you know what? It was fun. It was a fun time in my life.
Yeah.
But I always thought it was funny because Mercurials are always popular. The amount of people that would come in and didn't know how to say Mercurial.
Oh, yeah.
That's a really common thing that you don't realize. Maybe not so much anymore because videos about it are so prevalent and people hear people saying Mercurials. But before, it's like you just have to like read it in the magazine or just read the name and people can't say it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but to be fair, I've called stuff really stupid. I used to call the word matte when something is matte. I call that matte because, English is my second language, and that's how we say it in Denmark. No, we say matte. Why did that was just plain weird.
Yeah.
I'm just struggling to think of. I also think that the Nemesis name is. There's something about those two Z's in Nemesis that kind of rubs me the wrong way. I mean, it's like back in the day when you spoke to people and you were like 15 and you instead of using S, you used Z. I mean, come on. What?
Yeah.
What? It's just, you have Nemesis. Nemesis is a really cool name. Just don't use the Z's.
Yeah, I still think Superfly is weird.
No, man, you're weird.
It's like, come on, it might as well be the Mercurial Super Cool.
Yeah.
Come on.
Whoa.
That's even worse. Right? Like, it's just, I don't know, not my thing.
Fantastic.
Never thought it was a good name.
What would be the coolest name then you would think of? Like, what would you call a boot if you would then make a non-lame name?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a tough one to come up on the spot. I don't know. I really like the Venom aspect. I think that's a cool name.
Uh-huh.
I like that part of it.
I would probably go with something like call it what kind of brand name would I make? I would call it the JayMike Uber Speed 3000. Like, who wouldn't want that boot?
Yeah, that's great. yeah. I don't have an answer for you here.
But before we get carried away with the Q&A here, I think it's time, before we also ramble on for too long, that we jump into what people want to know. The worst football boot that you and I have ever worn. And I've got a couple, right. So I'm going to let you go first.
All right, I'm going to start with... Should I start with a big brand boot or a little brand?
Start with something that will surprise me.
Something that will surprise you.
Yes, please. All
right. I'm going to go Mercurial Vapor 3. And this is controversial because I know this is...
Whoa. Hold on a minute. Did you say Vapor 3s?
I did. Vapor 3. 100% correct. Is this one of your favorites?
Maybe the boot that I'm the most nostalgic about ever. It's not the best boot I've ever worn, but it's up there. Because what are you thinking, man?
Okay,
Talk to me.
Here's the story that goes behind this. So, growing up, I had my Mercurial stint, as everyone had, and when the Vapor 4 came out, I had a pair of Vapor 4s. It was the alternate launch color, so it was like dark purple with the light blue swoosh.
I've got it in my hand right now. Yeah.
Oh, that's the colorway. That's what I had. So I went and played in this tournament. It was somewhere in the US, and they had a tent sale set up at the tournament with full of all kinds of boots, like from the previous season, and they were just ridiculously cheap. So I ended up getting a pair of Vapor 3s for like, I think it was like $70 or $80. It was just crazy inexpensive. And they were the blue R9 ones. I was super stoked on them because I thought the Vapor 3 is such a better looking boot in comparison to the Vapor 4.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? As much as I don't like this boot, I think it's the best looking Mercurial ever made.
I agree.
So I got them and put them on my feet and immediately recognized, wow, these feel terrible on my feet. Why am I buying them? But hey, I'm like 13 years old. I don't care. I had $80 in my pocket. I'm buying these things. So I didn't wear them at the tournament against which is probably a good call. Got back from the tournament, went to training, and just destroyed my feet, my heels, everything. Yeah. They just did not fit me well.
They did that to you.
Right? Just horribly uncomfortable. It didn't work out. And it's one of the first high-end boots that I ever bought that I wore like 2 or 3 times, realized they were never going to work, and I ended up selling them off.
I will see your Vapor 3 and I will raise you with Vapor 4.
Yeah.
Now, to me, that boot, I love the Vapor 3s. Obviously, you got the blisters, but that was just a Vapor thing back then. You just had to live with it if you wanted to play in the Mercurial. But with this, I couldn't play in it. I got blisters that were so bad. They were bloody. It was terrible. It was everything. And it was just so tight in the midfoot that I got this arch pain. Arch? The part on your foot, it hurts so bad. And I couldn't wear it. And I was so bummed because for me, I was a Mercurial man back then, really hardcore Mercurial man. I loved my Vapor 3s. And then I go and buy that stuff, spend a whole lot of money, and I get that experience. That was a really big bummer. So I ended up cutting off my lace cover and things were better, but I still couldn't get over the heel. I've never forgiven Nike for doing that.
Yeah, the heel was bad. I remember when I first got my Vapor 4s, you get them at the start of the season, and the start of the season, you'd be running at training. You're getting in shape, ready for the season. So you get these massive heel blisters after the first session. So then your second session, you can't possibly wear your old boots because you have brand new Mercurials, even though your heels are just pure blood. There's basically no skin left. So I'd have like 16 layers of hockey tape to like cover my heel up. Like my foot I had so much size to my heel because of all the tape that I could barely fit my foot in the boots anymore. But I insisted on wearing them.
Man, okay. So Vapor 3 for you, Vapor 4. I'm gonna be a bit controversial here. I'm also gonna go with another Nike boot. The Superfly 2.
That's a 3.
That's a 3 I have in my hand, yes.
I've got the 2 right here.
You got the
it's
2
also
right
on
there.
my list.
Because I was going to say the 2 and the 3 because I hated the 3 just as much as the 2. But I just, the blisters, the stiffness of the upper, everything here was just a bad experience. And you paid so much money for it. Ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was nothing.
$400 retail.
I don't even remember how much it was. $400 or something like that?
It was $400 US. I remember because the Canadian retail was like a 500 something. It was almost $600 Canadian for a pair of boots. Just ridiculous.
And the thing is that they came out with the Superfly 3s and they were just, they marketed as a new boot, but nothing had changed except for the fact that the toe box was a little bit lower. But that was it. Completely ridiculous. They did that,
and then they added the extra lace hole.
They did, that's true.
Because the 2s did not have that.
I forgot, and I didn't care.
Other than that, exactly the same. Yeah, we talked about hockey skates earlier. This is the closest thing to a hockey skate that you can wear in football boot form.
And not something you want. Let's put it that way.
No. All right, I'm going to go with a weird pick. Diodora Cambio. I don't know if you've ever tried these, Jay.
Is that the glitch?
This is the glitch. This is the glitch before the glitch. This is what Adidas copied.
Yeah, it looks
They
rubbish.
They did a much better job. Yeah, it's basically a rubber shell with like this. Here, I'll pull it out since it's so modular. This little like, it looks like a slipper you'd wear around your house. It's just like neoprene and it's like just stitched to an insole. But this rubber shell is just straight stiff rubber. It is the worst thing ever. Granted, this was like a cheap, I think these are like $70 retail price, really cheap. And they were kind of just going for something cool, but it's so bad.
Man.
It's unwearable.
Man. I'm going to be quick here. My next pick would be the JayMike Fit 100 Lite. Simply because it's a very cheap synthetic leather copy of I think it was the second generation Adizero in leather, and it has a like it's red and blue and has a like a Volt Eagle on the side. So not only does it perform really badly and feel super plasticky, it's also just ridiculously ugly.
It's
Come on.
whatever. JayMike, I don't fault JayMike. JayMike's had some ups and downs when it comes to boots.
Yeah.
Say that. I would say that one of the worst boots I've personally ever worn. Probably New Balance Visaro 1, the original one.
Okay.
For similar reasons to Vapor 3s and Superfly 2s.
Yep.
I could never get a comfortable fit in this boot. It's just such a plasticky upper, even though it doesn't look like it would be, but it just didn't work out for me.
I'm gonna go along those lines and say the New Balance Visaro II is probably the worst football boot I have ever and will ever wear in my life. Like, if I was going to clean up like a nuclear disaster, I would put these on because they're sturdy. But that's also a problem because they're not gonna move with your feet. They're not gonna mold to your feet. They're just this big chunk of stiff synthetic that's not very comfortable to wear. Nor is it very nice on the ball, and it's just like it's just a bad football boot. And
No,
look at the shape. Look at the shape of this. Like, you can't get under the ball with this. It's a tank.
It's the football boot equivalent of Crocs. That's what they remind me of.
And it's as ugly. I don't know what. The first Visaro was so good. I have no idea what New Balance were thinking here. It's wow, what an absolute disgrace.
Yeah, they.
If you can top this, I applaud you, because that was bad.
Okay, I got a weird pick here, and most people wouldn't even know because they only made very few of them. But the 99-gram Adizero.
Okay.
I've never played in them. I'll say that much. But this is a boot that I put on my feet, and I'm like, wow, this was not made to actually be worn.
No.
It's again, they only made 299 pairs. You can see the number right here on the heel. This is a boot that you put on your feet and it feels like they're going to break.
Yes. It was probably similar to wearing the first couple of Evo Speed SLs that were also ridiculous. They weighed 3 grams more and they were ridiculously thin. I mean, they were fun to play with, but they lasted me, I think, 2 or 3 matches. Tops.
Yeah, but that was a sturdy boot in comparison to 99-gram Adizero.
They never made it my size though, so I haven't tried.
Yeah, no, they cored out. Well, I think they only made them in one size, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, it was only a size 9. That's what it was.
Yeah.
The whole sprint frame on this thing is like all cored out, so it's like the thinnest plastic possible. And I think they ended up having, was it Bale that wore them in a match? Somebody wore them in a match.
I don't remember.
It was 1 or 2 players did, but if you saw the pictures like close up of what the boots they were actually wearing, they were basically just F50s made to look like the 99-gram Adizero, not the real thing. Because again, while this is a cool concept to make a boot that's 99 grams, it was unwearable.
Yeah,
unwearable.
It doesn't work. Now I heard you teased me before we started this, saying that there was one boot that would piss me off tremendously that was also basically unwearable.
Unwearable. And that, I'm assuming you're referring to the Nike GS1.
You kidding me?
Look, I know you said you never got to wear them, but
I didn't.
This boot, this is like, for me, combine the worst parts of the Vapor 3, the blister heel thing, and then all the stiffness from the Superfly 2 and 3. They did that all in one boot. It looks incredible. I love the concept of it.
Looking boot ever.
It's really cool looking, but man, this thing, if you want foot cramps and heel blisters
Really?
and just general discomfort, this is what you need.
Yeah, they never made it my size. I'm a size US 7. They only made down to US 8, so I never got to wear it, which might sound like that was a good idea. Just keep it on the shelf where it can sit and look pretty. Man, okay. Do you
the GS remake was like a million times
Oh,
better.
a million times better. Durability wasn't the best. This sticker on the tongue that said GS fell off of both my boots, but that's how it goes. It was a nice boot to wear and cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, actually the price was fair on those.
The price was absolutely fair. Okay, man. I'm just looking at the time here to make sure that people stay sane. Do you have more boots you want to bring
I got one
forth?
more. I got one more pick.
One more pair.
One more pick. Superfly 1. Sorry, I hate to pick on the Mercurials because I love them. But this boot, I saved up as a kid and I was like, I'm buying Superfly 1s because it was the coolest thing. Remember when these came out?
I do.
Well,
yeah.
I think the name was stupid. It was just the coolest thing ever.
It was.
So I saved up and I finally got them. I had the banana yellow ones with the black swoosh. And they had came out in the middle of the winter in Canada, which is the worst time to buy new boots.
Oh, yeah.
And at the time I was training with, it was an older team. They invited me to come out and train, and they would do these training sessions in the middle of the winter once a month. So it's like January, freezing cold. It was like minus 15, covered in snow, ground completely frozen. We were basically training on ice. And this intelligent man decides he's going to wear his brand new Superfly 1s in minus 15 weather.
Have your toenails ever grown back after that?
No, that's when I experienced my first black toenail on both feet in one session. Like,
wow.
I murdered my feet in those shoes.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's the only time I ever wore them. I ended up selling them because blisters everywhere. It was just the worst.
They weren't good boots. I still hated the Superfly 2s and 3s more, but it's a good thing they fixed the Superfly line. Now it's significantly better.
Definitely improved. All right, that's enough hating on stuff.
Thankfully, all these are old products, and boots nowadays are really good. So we also gotta appreciate that, because those were the days, man. Those were the days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the Wild West back then.
It was. But guys, I think this kind of wraps up everything we had for you for today. And I'm saying this as, the guest on this. So unless you have anything else, Josh, I think we should remind people to actually slap a like on the video if they're on YouTube. If not, go leave a positive review on Spotify or Apple podcast or wherever you're listening to this on. Tell us what we're doing well, what we could do better. And also, if you have any questions for the next Q&A, leave them down in the comment section below. Also, don't forget that if you want to watch more of Josh, he makes awesome videos every single day. You can click the little bubble right over there. You can also go and watch our stuff on Unisport if you click right over there. And I guess that's all you have to remember other than subscribing to the Boot Nerds podcast so you can see new podcasts every single week.
Yeah.
Was that it?
Bootnerds.com if you want all the audio-only versions, by the way.
That's what it's all about. And guys, thank you so much for watching. It's a pleasure as always.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. See you in the next episode.
See you guys.